I hope that this company has spent as much time making this printer print as good as it looks and feels. What's up everybody, Feder here from 3D Print SOS. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a really interesting machine here with me. It's the Fokoos Odin-5 F3. Fokoos reached out to me saying they have this new interesting machine that's small, compact. Its target price is around $200, under $200, and it is a pre-assembled and folding machine. They obviously really had me at folding right away. I think that's really interesting in this segment. And it caught my eye because if you take a look at this box here, the picture that's on here, if you set it up and sit it next to things like the Ender 3, the Keela by VoxLab, or the ANET ET5 or ET4 rather, it looks a lot less intimidating. Those other printers have these extrusions and these hoses and these wires and these bolts and these nuts. Got him! And there's all these things that make it look industrial and could turn people off that aren't into those things. They look like they need a lot of maintenance just by staring at them. So this looks really clean, really compact. Even the screen looks like it's built in. I see that it's a touch screen, so there isn't something like sitting, protruding on the side of it. You know what I mean? So that's really intriguing, and I'm really excited to take a look. It has dual Z's. It has a direct drive on it. So that, you know, there's a lot going for this printer on paper. I haven't taken it out of here at all. My goal with this video is to unbox this printer, unfold it if it's fully assembled, level it, plug it in, and throw something, throw something on the printer from the SD card. It looks to me, just based on this retail packaging, it's unlike other printers right here already. That's its unique spot. This thing looks like it's meant to be purchased at a store, brought home, plugged in, and go. Other printers are almost like you bought them direct from the factory, where you have to assemble them. They take up to 2 hours, 3 hours to assemble when it's your first one. So I can definitely see the appeal and the target with this machine. And to me, that's really cool. Basically, Fokoos reached out. They said that they were going to send me this machine, and if I like it, I can make videos on it. I'm not supposed to say good things. I'm not getting paid in any way. That's why I chose to do this. I think that's really cool of them to let me torture it and compare it to other machines. So I get to showcase what it's good at, what it's bad at, and really talk about it and let you guys decide whether this machine is right for you. So let me take it out of the box. I'm going to set up a shot so you guys can be with me. I'll set it up and we'll get a first print going and see how it does and compare it to my other experiences. Let's get started. All right, guys, so like I mentioned, I haven't opened this before, so I'm not sure what's in here, but I definitely want to share this experience with you guys. I'm going to try to lean it towards the camera so that you can see it as I see it. All right, let's see what's in this package. Lots of foam. I'll try to lean it towards the camera so you guys can see what's in here. Maybe it'll sit on this. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, so it looks like this started to come off. All right, looks like I see like a mini spool. Yeah, all right, let me tell you this. Let me get this out onto the table first. Oh, okay, this part came off. Looks like the printer is right here. Aha. Okay. Set that back here. All right. Let's get it on its side here. Take all the foam off. Wow, it's a nice one-piece foam. It's the kind that's not gonna break apart all over your house. You'll be cleaning it for the next week. I see. So I'm basically pulling off. This part's kind of holding the gantry up, and it's a little caught on it. Oh yeah, I can see it here. Okay, it's almost off. Just give it a little wiggle. set it down. Wow, this is a really small machine. So let's see what was in here. Looks like we have a little filament spool. It's nice and sealed. A little bit of white PLA Plus. Okay. A little spool of PLA Plus. That's nice. Let's put that back in there. And this box right here is labeled accessories. So let's see what's in accessories. We have a quick start guide. Oh wow, that's quite the wrench. We have some tools. We have a needle for helping with clogs. There's also a manual. Let me move this over so I can start to lay things out. We have some hardware. Hexagon socket, head screw, T-nut, so on and so forth. Wonder what those are for. Maybe some spares. We have some end caps to 2020 extrusions. This looks like a ribbon cable. I wonder if we have to install that for the first time. We have some spare nozzles, so they both 0.4. We have some 0.4 spare nozzles, and they look like they're the long nozzles, not like a MK8. We have the power cable. We have a printer cable, so you can hook this up to your computer. That's nice. Not a lot of companies include those. This looks like it's going to be the spool holder. This is actually fairly small for a spool holder. But hey, it'll probably work. A spatula. Gotta love getting a spatula. And the whole point of buying a printer, some side cutters. Am I right? Okay, and one more item in here, a micro SB to USB adapter. So this will be powering the printer. There's actually no markings on this SD at all. Yeah, it just says Z08GK28. I mean, usually there's at least something on here to tell you the memory size or what and whatnot. So we'll definitely need that for the printer. Set this aside. You know what? I'll take out that spool. Have it laid out here for you as well. All right, and let's get to the machine itself. Okay, so this is definitely interesting. It looks like the machine itself is really small. It's kind of like self-enclosed and self-contained here. Yeah, we got some. Oh, I can see the driver heat sinks. Nice blue heat sinks. The power supply is right over here. I wonder if it's one of those small mean wells. All right, let's get this undone. Get my knife out here. And let's cut away this film that's kind of holding everything together. The bed still has a protective film on it. Yeah, this tilts up. Huh, wonder how this works. Oh, I see, there's just a single bolt on the side that probably keeps this perfectly straight. This side too. Yeah, there's a bolt right over here. I'll zoom in on it a little later once I get everything unpackaged. Interesting ideas in this printer. So there it is. There's really not that much to unpack. And I wonder if these nuts that we need are in here. They very, very likely are. It looks like the dual Z-axis. Let me flip it around while I take those out. Looks like the dual Z-axis has a bearing at the top. And it is like a floating bearing, which is interesting. So it's definitely held and contained and balanced. Neat. Yeah, I mean, my impression so far, I'm kind of trying to take it all in while also describing it. Just glancing over here at the Ender and the Aquila, they're definitely wider, and the screens are protruding. This portion right here, the width of it is about the same, it looks like. But this being direct drive is going to be interesting too. That means the spool can just be right on top, feeding filament straight down. Are there legs on the bottom? Yeah, I can feel them. Little rubber feet. So it looks like when this gantry is in the upward position like this, it is already where it needs to be. Looks like as soon as I put those screws in, the assembly is pretty much done. Looks like there's an interesting... oh yeah, I can see. So basically, for the Z sensor, instead of for the Z stop rather, instead of there being just a regular switch, there's kind of like almost like an inductive sensor of some sort, and it looks like it might hit this portion to stop it. Yeah, very interesting so far. Looks like the one of the Z's is protected on this side, but not on this side. Another interesting piece. I wonder if that part popped off in my packaging, or if it's supposed to be like that. I see nothing in there. Maybe it's supposed to be like that. But basically, let me show you. On this side, I have a cover basically blocking the motor from being damaged, I guess. But on this side, it is left open. And this seems fine to me. But maybe it's supposed to be like this. Don't know. Oh, I see. This is here because there is a ribbon cable. Here, let me flip it over this way. There's actually a ribbon cable that's plugged in right over here. And it runs up this way, folds its way over. And I wonder if at some point I have to plug it in here. Alright guys, this is what's in the box. Let me go ahead and give you a closer view. And then what I'll do is I'll actually read the manual, the setup guide. I'll pop open all these zip ties and kind of assemble it and get it ready for printing. And then I'll get you back in on a closer shot of me basically messing with it, turning it on, seeing what the menus look like. So far this looks pretty cool. Really simple, really neat, tidy machine. Already assembled. You just need these two bolts. I'm just going to check the manual to make sure I'm getting the right ones. Another thing I see right away is the bed glass is held on with 4 clips, which is really nice. Usually I typically see 2. So yeah, so far this is pretty neat. So it looks like you would bring this thing all the way up, make sure the head is somewhere in the center, and then just like that it folds. Is there a stopper? No. I wonder if there's a screw position in one of these that would stop it. Let's see. No, I don't think there is. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously a tiny profile for a printer. If you're going somewhere with it, maybe you're bringing it to college campus, or you're going over to a friend's house, or you're bringing it to work for whatever reason. That's intriguing. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and assemble it, plug it in, see what it's all about. All right, guys, so there it is, the Odin all assembled. And let me tell you, it looks so nice. It has this nice aesthetic to it. It's nice and clean and neat and tidy. There's no other way to really describe it. It looks small, but the build plate is the same as the other printers in this price range and what the target market is, I think. So it has that going for it for sure. It's also really stout. Basically, to put it together, all I had to do was lift up on the whole gantry system, put in 2 bolts on both sides for a total of 4, and it was already ready to rock. So, you know, a couple things I mentioned: sturdiness. It's riding on this 20 by 20 extrusion, but separate and kind of spaced outward, which means there's no single flimsy, you know, contraption. The wheels are further apart, making the bed really sturdy. The hot end is riding on a 2040 extrusion instead of 2020s, which is everything I have is riding on. Dual Z's with bearings on top. You know, they definitely didn't have to do that for such a small printer, but because it is meant to be mobile and it is this compact, it's so sturdy. It has this nice weight to it. It's almost like you know, closing a door on a classic car. It just goes thump, you know. It just has that feel to it where it's just nice and sturdy. So let's go ahead and turn it on. One thing to note is when I first turned it on, it didn't want to power up. I checked the connector, checked a bunch of things, and I actually found that there is a switch on the side, and it had to be switched from 240 to 120 for it to work here in the United States, at least on the East Coast. So I did have to do that for it to power on, but that's not a big deal whatsoever. I was just confused initially. You know, clicking around the menu here, I didn't really go too deep, but it looks really responsive, super easy, simple buttons, way better than some of the other systems I used, especially with touchscreens that had really small buttons or really hard to navigate, or there was lag. So it has that going for it as well. I hope that this company has spent as much time making this printer print as good as it looks and feels, because in the looks and feels department, it's great. It's really nice. You know, the extruder itself is really interesting as well. It has this kind of like a little sister board on the side that the cable goes into, where all these things plug in. So all the cables are super tidy and clean. They're really short. They looks like this would be easy to maintain if anything happens, because it's like this one unit. The fans are loud. The fans are definitely loud. They have this low tone to them though, so that's definitely not something I can really complain about. I'd much rather have this humming fan noise than I would loud stepper motors making songs for me when this thing is printing. So I'm really looking forward to turning it on. So what I'm going to do is, before I heat up the bed, I'm going to clean it with isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to clean it a whole bunch to make sure it is 100% clean. I have a piece of paper here. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to make sure that the Z-axis is perfectly straight on both sides so that they're not off kilter. Then I'm going to heat up the bed. I'm going to use my little piece of paper here to go around and level the bed. I think there's actually a leveling sequence in here that will help with that, which is really nice. Then I'm going to load in some filament, and I'm not going to use the spool that came with it, although I will test that spool. I'm going to use my favorite filament, Yusu Silk Rainbow. This stuff is awesome. The color change is great. The colors are super vibrant when they print. It is a wide spool, and it's totally see-through, so you don't have to guess how much filament you have left. It comes in a reusable bag. It comes with a nozzle. Easily my favorite filament now. So I'm going to toss that on the printer, and I'm going to use that. It is silk PLA, but it prints with the same exact settings as PLA. So I'm hoping that there's something on the SD card meant for PLA that I can just press and go, and I'll record it and show it to you guys. So let me go ahead and do that. Next time you'll see me is in the conclusion. Obviously not a review. I'm just talking about the things that I'm seeing and feeling, and kind of like just narrating what's going on here. So let's go ahead and get that started. Just wanted to bring you in here for a second. That was about 20 minutes of time there just to get it set up. I cleaned it really well. I leveled it several times, but then I ran into an issue loading filament in. And what you do is you get it to temperature here, and then there is a load feature. Right now this is just the extrusion, but Looks like if you go to filament, and you can go load right there, and I got it to 230 because it actually had a clog. There was a white filament in there, I'm guessing from testing, and for one reason or another I couldn't get it out. I actually had to use a needle to go back and forth, and they do include a needle, by the way. I went ahead and went through back and forth a whole bunch, and now it seems to be working just fine. So for example, if we go back to extrusion, and let's do 10 millimeters, and I hit this a couple times, we should see some filament come out of there any minute. Let's see. Yep, it is going in, I guess because it came out previously. Yep, I can feel it being pulled in. There we go. So it should be extruding, and actually have it set to low over here, which is kind of an interesting setting. If I go ahead and set it to normal or even high, we get large volumes coming out. Let's see if I can hit it now. There we go. I think it's still doing all of the extrusion that I clicked previously. Well, let's see if one of the, okay, so saw that blast right there? That was from the last button I clicked. So that's an interesting setting. I've never seen that before, right in the menu. But it is worth noting that the menu is very vast. There's actually quite a bit going on in here. You can pretty much modify every setting in here, which is really nice. Like for example, if we go to settings, go to machine settings, let's go to temperature. Here you can set nozzle temps, hotbed temps. You can do PID tuning. See, like you can set both those things. Let's see what's under motor. Direction settings, steps, home speed setting, acceleration. I mean, jerk settings. This has everything that you would want. Power off detection, auto shutdown after print. You can tell this thing when it has a UPS hooked up. I mean, this is advanced stuff that you don't have to use, but it's here. Enable pins level setting. Print pause position settings. What's in here? So if you press pause, you can tell it to go to a specific spot instead of it sitting there and ruining your printer. I mean, you can spend a lot of time in here, right on here, without digging into the actual manual labor of compiling your own firmware. It's all here. The usability so far is awesome. So now it's the real test. How is it going to print? We got the filament. It's nice and hot. Let's get it printing. Alright guys, the Fokoos Odin-5 F3. This is not a review, this is just my initial speculation based on the experience of printing with this machine for the past couple days. Let's go over just a few things. So from the start, taking it out of the box, assembly. It's 4 bolts, super easy to assemble, super easy to level. It comes with yellow springs on the bottom, which definitely help with leveling. It also came pretty level already out of the box. And there's a menu, a leveling menu in the system that helps you level. It goes from all 4 points and a fifth one in the middle. You can really easily go around with a piece of paper like you saw in the video and level it. In fact, I've printed all of the stuff that you see here without ever touching leveling, and I don't plan on to, because it seems to be pretty good right there. I think after printing with it and seeing what it looks like and kind of taking photos of it, and I came to the realization, I think I know who this is for. This is for the type of person that's still budget oriented. They're not the type of person that's going to just go out there and buy a Prusa because they can. This is someone who's a bit skeptical and they don't want to jump in with both feet to pay that kind of money. They're still budget oriented, but they still want that type of printer. And then looking at things like the Ender, which obviously if you're looking at 3D printing, you can't skip over the Ender, or the Aquila in that case. You come to the realization that there's a lot of parts and they look a certain way, and it can be overwhelming. Me personally, I like to be hands-on with these things. I really enjoy putting the machine together when I first get it. I think that's like a part of it, but I definitely can see how that could be overwhelming. And with the retail packaging and how easy this is to assemble, what this looks like with the lack of tidbits all over the place, this is for the person that wants to get into 3D printing right away, that doesn't want to fiddle with the machine, and this looks so much less intimidating. And speaking of budget, I looked on Amazon, and currently, as of filming this video, it's priced at $250, and there's a $25 coupon. In fact, there's also a 5% off coupon in the description from my own code from this channel, so be sure to check that out. So in my opinion, I think it is priced perfectly well for that type of person. Me, if I'm assembling a printer, yeah, you can get an Aquila for between 140 and 170. That's just an absolute bargain. This is slightly different than that printer, just based on the packaging. The direct feed. There's a lot on here that just makes it a little bit more friendly, and I totally understand that. The only problems I see is I had a clog at first. Actually, it came. I guess they tested with white filament. It had white filament in there, and you could see through when I posted the video. You could see that I had a lot of trouble at first. I had to declog the hot end. It started printing all flimsy, started getting clogs, and actually when I started doing the benchies, when you can see it got declogged. Let me come in here and show you what happens. You can kind of see. You can kind of see imperfections all down low, and then out of nowhere, bam, everything is fine and dandy. Let me grab another print. This was the print right after that, right here. As you can see, none of that mess anymore. So it had a clog. I was able to really easily fix it. Maybe that could be a problem for other people. I'm sure this isn't something that happens on every machine. There's a chance of this happening on any machine, even the higher end machines. It's just a part of 3D printing, really. So can't fault that too much. But if you are just focusing on budget, yes, you can get a really similar package outside of the aesthetics for cheaper. But I don't think that's the strong suit here. I think the strong suit is take it out of the box, plug it in, go. I think that's its niche, and I think it does that really well, actually. So yeah, some of the other prints, as you saw in the videos, came out really, really nice. The quality is extremely high. The one thing on these pre-sliced models, I can see that if I was to slice them myself, I would change where the seam is, because you could see the seam in little blobs all over the prints, on all of them actually. But that's something you can do yourself through a slicer. And there's a slicer included on the SD. There's directions, there's files. For example, as you saw, I changed the yellow flower cover to a more Odin red with my logo on it, and I removed kind of any blockages that could happen for the fan to breathe. Just something you could easily do. They include these files. They pay that much attention to the aesthetics of the printer, to where the only color on here you can change and print yourself with the machine, and that's included on the SD card. So definitely kudos for that. Yeah, so really the only fault that I can see here is that the fans are loud. They're definitely loud. At the moment, they're the loudest fans that I have out of all my other machines. Outside maybe for the ET5X. That machine is extremely loud and it resonates inside the base. At least this one is small enough to where nothing resonates. And like I mentioned before, it has this low hum to it where it's almost like a noise machine, like a white noise machine. So it's not an annoying noise, but it's noticeable. There's rushing air all the time. So that's a really cheap and easy thing to fix. So like I mentioned before, cannot complain too much. So the downsides are very low. So if this fits your budget and you don't want to mess with assembling a printer, this is definitely the machine for you. Now, I can't say how it's going to do in the long run. Like I said, I've only been printing with it for a couple days. So far, so good. I like what I see here. Typically, whenever I get one of these type of printers and I start printing with them, I can almost see right away what I would improve, what I would do, what are the weak points. Outside of the fans here, I don't think there's many weak points. It seems to be perfect out of the box for what it's set out to do. One thing to note is the bed is coated in a coating that when it heats up, it helps prints stick, and then when it cools down, they're supposed to pop off. This was one of the only machines where I didn't print with a brim, and it stuck perfectly fine. So it is really sticky. However, I did have trouble taking the prints off the bed. You have to be really careful doing that with metal spatulas because they will scrape this coating. Now, if you do get some markings here and there, especially if they're light, the more you print on it, you heat it up a bunch, cool it down, heat it up a bunch, cool it down, clean it with isopropyl, they will go away. So it's designed to do that. But I gotta note that it is really easy to scratch. On some other machines, I ended up flipping these things to just clean bare glass, and I might do that later with this machine, but so far in the past couple days, it's been perfect. I have no reason to change anything, and I'm gonna continue to print with it and see where it goes. So that's my initial reaction or initial, I guess, experience with the machine. I'm gonna go ahead and put affiliate links in the description if this is something that interests you. I think after all those things that I said, I think you guys understand what I meant for who this is for and who it's not for. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to check out the links below. Also, if you need any kind of help or you want to share your experiences or share your prints with followers of mine, I did make a Discord. Grab that link in the description as well. My hope there is if I can't answer your questions, someone else can, and we can start a community and build something up. Another thing I wanted to note is thank you guys for donating. I mentioned donations in the last video, and a bunch of you guys donated more. Like I said before, I'm not asking for them. I'm just really appreciative of those people that donate. Thank you all very much. You're very kind. If you guys think that someone's going to like the Fokoos Odin-5 F3, send them a link to this video and give this thing a like. Let's share the love. And as always, I'll see you guys in the comments.